Yo guys, here's a fake designer who is speaking to you and welcome back to this new video. So what to say about the project of today? Well, in recent years there have been so many rumors about Apple and its interest in developing and designing a real car, a real vehicle. So this project seems to not have so many things in common with the usual Apple products, and for this reason I consider it an interesting project. So some say this car will be a station wagon or a family car, others say it will be a minivan or like a little bus. But in the end, these opinions are not that important right now because we are fake designer. We don't need and we don't trust in rumors. And so let's get started and let me show you the ideas I have for this project. Okay, so first of all, as always, let's Google iPhone on the net because I'm interested in getting into the mood of the brand we are discussing. So let's see what we find online. And I want to see some images. The point is that talking about Apple, in the Apple product context, the design aspect is so much important. Each Apple product refers to a common pattern, and in my opinion, this common pattern can be identified in this round corner right here. So this one, this one, this one, and all the other round corners you will find in an Apple products. And the point is that this kind of idea is confirmed by the fact that if you try to remove this round corner, this feature, this kind of detail from the product itself, then you will no longer have an Apple product. So it makes sense in some way. And another thing I want to underline is the symmetry we can recognize in each Apple product. They are very minimal with a minimal design and very symmetrical. So I will definitely try to put these two features in the car I'm going to designing. Saying that, I think that we can move to the fixed-forming document window. And if you don't know what a fixed-forming document is, well, probably you have better watched the first video of this kind here on the channel. It was about Ferrari, and there I explained what a fixed-forming document is. So check it out. And saying that, let's move immediately to the fixed-forming document. So here we are. Key points: shell and space optimization. So I will talk about the shell in some minutes during the time-lapse video, but now I want to say something about the space optimization key point. So with space optimization, I mean that in my opinion, or anyway my thoughts were about designing a family car, so for this possible new Apple car. And this means that you need, the more space you have, the more people you can host. And because I think that probably this future Apple car will be a self-driving car, then you have the opportunity actually to optimize the inner space, the inner room. So we have the space optimization key points. And then as a reference models, I put the iPhone 4 because it's like an iconic Apple model and probably the first one that really innovated the design of that time and the concept of mobile phone we had in that time, so like 12 years ago I think. And another reference models is the iPhone 5C, and I decided to put this kind of Apple model as a reference model for the same reason I put the shell as a key point. So you will understand this choice in some minutes. Now let's talk about the side view. So here it is. As you can see here, I try to define a minimal design, so there aren't a lot of details, and generally speaking it's very minimal. And the interesting aspect of the car is that, as you can see here, we have like a continuous line from the front to the rear part, and so it's like, you know, innovative, very close to the Cybertruck of Tesla, but it's also very far from it. But then you will understand this kind of side view later during the rendering. And then we have the front view, so here it is, and as you can see here, we have the detail of the round corner I was talking before. I was talking before. So you know that you see that I tried to put this so important and fundamental feature of design of all the Apple products. And then in the rear view, we have a rear view and like a composition of different the bodies that compose the rear part, very similar to the front view. And in the rear view, we have another time the round corner detail. And yeah, so this is the rear view. So in the front view, you have these straight front headlights, whereas in the rear view you have these kind of rear lights. And saying that, I think that you can now enjoy the time-lapse rendering process while I will explain you why the shell key points is so important in this project. So what can I say about this outer shell key point? Well, it will be a kind of, you know, outer wrapper that surrounds the entire vehicle, made of rubber or plastic or any other kind of material that is, you know, quite easily handled. And now let's suppose that Apple sells this product, sells this outer shell individually with a unit cost of around $1,000. This means that in this way Apple gives the customer the opportunity to buy as many outer shells as he prefers. And this means that Apple allows the customer to change the color and the texture of his own vehicle, of his own car, whenever he wants and whenever he prefers. And I think that for this reason, this choice, this outer shell solution can be considered quite interesting, both in terms of design and in terms of you know, the relationship that there is between the customer and the car company. So in the end, you would get like you know, the final car you would buy would be a vehicle made both of some metallic alloy such as aluminum or steel, and then you would have the outer shell, so this plastic surface that is represented by this wrapper. And for this reason now you should understand why I put the iPhone 5C model as a reference model, because in the iPhone 5C we see for the first time this kind of choice made by Apple. In fact, that year Apple understood that probably a very little change in terms of design can define a huge change in terms of you know, the selling process and in terms of marketing. And so for this reason too, I think that this choice, this idea of the outer shell is quite close to the mindset of Apple, to Apple mindset. Because if you think about it, Apple has always been a leader in the evolution and in the innovative process during the years. And this means that if Apple will ever land to the automotive field, then they will definitely try to actually figure out a solution that attract the customer and in order to win over the competitors. And another little thing I wanted to say about the sketch I'm drawing is about the lines I put in the car, because as you can see here, I tried to put both cutting lines and smooth lines. So I try to melt these two kind of shades, these two kind of style, and see how it would be. And yeah, saying that, I think I have just ended the sketch. So let's render it. And here we are with our Sketchbook Autodesk Pro window. So let's discuss briefly together all the layers of the rendering. So first layer, of course, the background. As you can see here, we have this gray shade, and then we have these two apples that in some ways are like some explicit references to the brand we are discussing. Then we have the reflection, the shadow of the vehicle on the ground. Then we have the reflection of the four wheels on the ground. Then we have the sketch itself. So this is the same draw you have just seen in the time-lapse video. Then we have the tire layer. So here we can appreciate only 2 of the 4 tires of the vehicle. Anyway, let's move on the cabin layer. So as you can see here, as you can easily understand from the cabin layer, this Apple car is supposed to be like a self-driving car. So here you can see that we have this particular disposition of the seats. So we have 2 here, and the other 2 in the rear part, and we have a lot of free space into the vehicle itself. And yeah, so this was the cabin layer. Then we have the shell's base color. So as you can see here again, we have here the outer shell, and in this context of rendering and coloring all the car and all the stuff, I decided to separate the shell from the vehicle itself, because I want to manage in different ways these 2 different levels, so the plastic material and the metallic material. Then we have the color base layer, and here it is. As you can see here, it's like the typical metallic gray. And then so it's the color of the main body of the car. Then we have this layer. It's quite useless. I mean, it's the detail of the inner part of the car surrounds the wheel. Then we have the glass layer, and here it is. Then we have lights layer. So important, this layer. This and the shadow layer are the 2 most important layers in a rendering, in every kind of rendering. And so as you can see here, the car is in some ways getting some realism. Then we have the details layer. So yeah, here you can see the logo of the Apple. Then we have the headlights layer. So as you can see here, for this car, I draw and I designed this very simple, straight headlight that are quite a trend of these years. Yeah, they're quite futuristic, I think. And then we have the car's name and the signature. So about the car name, this time I apologize, but I have not been that original, because the name of the car is simple Apple car. But then we have the censure, that is FP, that of course stands for fake designer, quite obvious. And then we have the base color layer. So here now I want to show you how this Apple car would be with other kind of outer shell. So let's say that, for example, here you can see that I put this typical and classical white shell with this white color that is like the canonic color of Apple product. But let's say that I want a red one. I buy online some red shell. So let's color it, and here it is how it would be. So yeah, it's not that good with this kind of gray, but this is an example. Then let's say you want a yellow one, and here it is. So this could be an idea. Or let's say you want or you prefer a blue one, and then you have the blue and gray version. So you get the idea. And yeah, I think it's an interesting choice. It's an interesting solution for all the reasons I explained before. And so let's continue with the green, and then you have the green, and let's finish with some black color, and here you have it. So here, this one is quite interesting, isn't it? I mean, you have the dark gray and then the black, so it's quite elegant and yeah, interesting in the end. So now let's actually modify the rendering a bit, so in order to adjust some little parameters. And so let's move to the photo software and let's modify it. Okay, so we could upgrade it, but no, I think that I want only to adjust some parameters like the lights. I will go for a -40. The color is good in this way, the intensity is good in this way, the contrast like a +60, and then the poster filter. So save a copy. And yeah, so guys, here we are. This was the project of today, finished. Yeah, in the end, I'm pretty proud of it. I mean, it's quite an innovative design, in my opinion. And yeah, so let me know in a comment below what you think about this project, about this idea. Let me know if you like it, if you don't, if you why not, and then if you like it, I appreciate, honestly. And yeah, in the end, I wish you the best, and I hope to see you in the next video. And that was everything from a fake designer. Io sapevi che ho anche un canale in italiano? Beh, ora lo sai. Il suo nome è The Fake Designer Ita e in pratica carico gli stessi video che carico qui, ma parlo in italiano, quindi in modo un po' più fluente e analizzando anche un po' più nel dettaglio i miei pensieri e le mie idee. Quindi se sei interessato facci un salto e niente, ti lascio il link nella descrizione qui sotto.